Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia from 1999. So yes, once again we're back and we are finally here. I must say, I can't believe we're finally here to discuss this film, and there will be spoilers in this discussion. We'll say that now. We want to kind of ruin this film for you, you viewers, of course. So if you haven't seen this film, I simply recommend this to anyone, really, whatever films you like. I guess just watch this film, give it a go, and just go from there. But yes, preferably watch the film first and then come back to this discussion because there will be heavy plot details discussed in this video. That's all it is, though. It's it's a discussion simply on my thoughts, my feelings, what this film means to me, and it's a lot. It really is. Let's just say that. That's an understatement. With that said, of course, yes, Magnolia, the third Paul Thomas Anderson film, feature film, of course, and of course, Boogie Nights was his previous film, and we've discussed that in great detail. In my previous kind of Anderson review, and I had so much to say about that, and one of my absolute, one of my very, very favourite films. And once again, Magnolia, I don't really separate this too much. Let's just say that, Boogie Nights, Magnolia, for me, are just really, such, I think such stunning pieces of cinema. It's just, I can't really express how much, how mind-blowing they are, and I guess just, I try to, in these videos, but Magnolia, of course, a bit different to Boogie Nights, but really these first three feature films, I kind of lumped them together to be honest, in kind of a phase of Anderson's work, and I guess Punch Drunk Love is kind of a middle film, it's kind of following on from these three features, of course, Hard Eight, Boogie Nights, and Magnolia, and kind of leading on, I guess, in some regards, to There Will Be Blood and his later films, I guess. But these first films, they have similarities, I guess, but later Anderson works, I don't really find they're very, very different. We'll get to them, of course. They're all stunning, in my opinion, I guess. But yes, this film here, it started out to be. Anderson kind of envisioned this piece to be, kind of small and cheap. That is not what we got. At least in my opinion. It's more than that. It's a massive, sprawling piece. Intertwining, kind of threads. Massive film here. Exploring these characters. Of course, once again, the San Fernando Valley. Another kind of similarity here with these early works. Once again, exploring, this area. Different characters, 9 main characters really, I guess, and one story, that's the thing, one complete narrative. These characters, they aren't just random in a sense that they all are experiencing the similar kind of emotions. They're all kind of traumatized. They all are feeling pain in some way, and I guess they are searching for meaning, you could say. That's the kind of general, outline of this film. That is the idea of this. It's a massive film. It's quite a decent length, I would say, 189 minutes. So it's an epic film. It's the longest, Anderson film to date, and it's a film that, just flows so wonderfully, and just. By the end of this film, I just couldn't believe it once again. And yes, back to the first time I saw this film, September 2017. I'd seen There Will Be Blood. That was my first one. I saw that just after it came out, really. Back in it was 2008 that I actually watched that film for the first time. So shortly after it came out, and was blown away, of course. Then, of course, Boogie Nights, was just this film that I saw at the beginning of 2017, and was blown away, of course. February 2017, that's one of my absolute favourite films, and a few months later, I kind of rewatched once again There Will Be Blood. That was August 2017. Then I watched, kind of out of order, I watched Inherent Vice, The Master, and about a week or so after that, I watched Magnolia, and I'd been building this one up. I'd heard massive praise for this film, by fans, by different critics, just generally this film. I knew it was divisive. I knew some did not take to this film, and others really responded in an overwhelming way. In fact, I've seen this this film, even before viewing this film, I'd seen this on many different lists, favorite films, the best films, very high on lists, that I saw on YouTube, etc. And I was really, in that sense, intrigued. There's a sense of excitement about this film. I'd kind of been saying to myself, oh, this one, just from the cast and the kind of the general, kind of feeling I got from, previewing this film, I thought, this one could be. I got a feeling it could be one of my favourites, and I kind of get that sometimes about films randomly. And let's just say, Paul Thomas Anderson, to me, is one of the absolute greatest 10 filmmakers of all time. In cinema history. Of course, The Master and Inherent Vice, films I'd seen, on that month as well. Absolutely stunning films, of course, truly stunning works. But Magnolia, really is, a mind-blowing film. It's such an experience, and really by the end of this, it changed my life. And I just remembered this film, so much about this. For all these years, and watching different films, but this feeling that I got from Magnolia never kind of left me, in some way. Just remembering, perhaps not kind of exact plot details, for every part of the film, and all the different, kind of story beats. I guess they didn't really stay with me, entirely. I guess, but the feelings I got from, the different acts of this film, and the different, the massive moments. Of course, the frogs. How can we forget that? All these different moments, they stayed with me, and I had this kind of memory of seeing Magnolia and just being so moved. Of course, it's a hilarious film, at times, but it's a truly, yes, profound film experience. And I think by the end, this time round, this is when I truly, kind of realised how much, I truly love this film. And I think, once again, just like Boogie Nights, it's one of the absolute finest films in the history of cinema. This film is truly a massive epic. I love epics, of course. I love to just, kind of sit down and watch, just, kind of longer films in that sense. I wouldn't say this is massively long, not from my kind of viewpoint, but it's nice to watch, let's just say, at least a film that you like, but for a good amount of time, more than 3 hours is just lovely to see. Film kind of just sit down, and by the end of these films, epics, there's usually a kind of, even if you don't like an epic, I guess, and that has happened, of course. I don't like every single film out there, I guess. Even after films, for example, epics, I'm not as big on, as an actual film. There's always a kind of feeling I get, and I think, once again, this film, I got that feeling, but it's a bit different. It doesn't feel, like an epic in some regards. It's, of course, over the kind of the one day, really, the night and into the morning. It's not like, very interesting. It's not like Boogie Nights. We cover many different years, up to 84 in that film. For a very specific kind of industry. Although, Boogie Nights has many different themes, a massive grand scale, and it has many general feelings, but it's more specific than Magnolia, I guess, in its kind of in its plot. And even though this film is set over a kind of specific time, roughly a day, it's a very different film. It's very kind of loose in that sense. First, and, it's just kind of showing these characters, all different kind of lifestyles, but they're all kind of feeling similar kind of emotions, you could say. And we don't really learn this until quite a bit into the film, in the sense of we're introduced to these characters, but first of all we have this kind of prologue, it's this kind of exploration, kind of, a kind of a point to kind of jumpstart the film, a chance, it's kind of conflict of ideas, and are things happening for a reason, or are they simply just chance, luck, and it's kind of this playful introduction in that sense. And then we get maybe Man, the song One playing, and of course we have the actual kind of introduction of our characters, the film, and we have 9 main characters, one complete kind of narrative or story, and we have them in the same kind of locations, but all kind of in some way related, in a kind of I would say, you know, there's many different themes, but the main thing that these characters have in common, or at least the main thing that Anderson, you know, is kind of trying to make a connection with between these different characters, these 9 main characters, is the kind of relationship between, you know, kind of parent and child relations, and how, you know, childhood trauma perhaps, and what happens when you're younger can affect you. I guess you know, going throughout the different stages of life, and you know, from there, you know, the pain, the agony, the trauma, the kind of anxiety, the depression, all these kinds of you know, things and emotions. You know, from there we get how this is kind of happening to these characters. It's all happening to them. It's all kind of related to these characters in some way, and there's genius ways of kind of linking the different characters. For example, Donnie, you know, the quiz kid, you know, kind of Donnie Smith. You know, he is of course played by William H. Macy. He is this former, you know, kind of quiz kid, and you know, on the same show that currently in the film Stanley, played by Jeremy Blackman, you know, is kind of on. You know, he's kind of this child prodigy, you know, as we say, you know, on this show, and he's this, you know, intelligent kid, and you know, he's getting all the answers right, and he's considered, you know, a genius, just like of course Donnie Smith was, you know, in the past, and that's one such example, you know, of the kind of connection here. And you know, what this has done to him, Donnie Smith, and we see this later on in the film. You know, how traumatized he is, and how you know, he is not happy with his life. And of course, we see firsthand, you know, in the present of the film, you know, this kind of playing out though on this kid, Stanley, and for example, his father treating him in a particular way, and you know, pressing him, and just, you know, kind of trying to use him in a sense, and you know, not being nice to him, not treating him well, and it's this linking here with these 2 characters in particular. That's an example of these characters being ones perhaps don't know each other. You know, different characters in so many ways, all complex but very different, very unique. They stand out from one another, but they do experience you know, kind of similar emotions, and they have had in the past in some way a sense of trauma, you know, or pain experienced in their lives. That could be when they were younger at any point, but they do kind of you know, release these emotions later on in the film, and we see, you know, I would say the first act is this kind of frantic, you know, almost kind of chaotic kind of act of just showing these characters, the camera moving, you know, rapidly you know, around the frame, of course, you know, showing these characters this kind of overwhelming feeling, you know, just passion in every frame. But Anderson is kind of showing these characters, and just introducing us to these characters, their situations, and just in a general sense, how they're kind of, you know, in some way, they have this persona, you know, all these different characters really, or they're trying to mask, I guess, you know, their trauma, their pain, and you know, their emotions. And I would say the second kind of hour of the film, I guess, you know, it's 1, 2, 3, you know, in the different hours really, and we have the credits of course, but yes, that's the general kind of structure. But the second hour of the film is when we really get, you know, all these different emotions and these underlying, you know, feelings. They are revealed to us even further, and in more clarity, and the film kind of slows down in that sense. The camera doesn't move as quickly, we get more kind of focused scenes on characters, you know, just discussing, I guess, and different characters breaking down as well, including Jimmy Gator, played by, of course, Philip Baker Hall, and he's this, of course, he is the host, you know, of this What Do Kids Know, this kind of show, of course, that Stanley is featured in, and obviously Donnie as well was featured in, but we have this this character breaking down, and yeah, all these different moments, the characters really kind of showing themselves, revealing themselves in the middle of the film. And then of course the third you know, portion of the film, the final hour, you could say, you know, is these characters realizing you know, their kind of their problems, and facing their problems. You know, in that sense, there is a line in the film, you know, the past is not through with us, and you know, I guess this is really internalized, you know, in the final hour of the film, with the characters. They realise they have to face their past in some way in order to kind of move on, I guess, and, you know, not hiding from it, not kind of putting on a persona. For example, Frank Mackie, played, of course, by Tom Cruise, the legend. He is someone who puts on this persona, but deep down, and in this second hour, really, we see this kind of breaking down in that kind of interview. You could say, later on, we have this, as we say, we have this introduction of all these different characters. But for example, Frank Mackie, later on in the film, after the kind of first 45 minutes or so, he starts to kind of break down this interview that happens. It breaks him, it breaks his kind of facade, and then of course, we learn that he really is in a lot of pain, and he has a lot of anger, of course, and obviously, in the film, the character who is played by Jason Robards in his final, unfortunately, final screen, kind of role here. He is wonderful in this film, but of course, is the father of Frank Mackie, and we later on see in the film, in the final hour, Frank Mackie confronting his father and letting out his emotions, and we see firsthand, the anger, the pain, of course, through Frank Mackie. He's releasing this kind of referred to as catharsis, the sequence here, and it's this kind of overwhelming, releasing of this emotion of anger, of pain, but then comes regret, and I guess regretting, Frank Mackie regretting what I get from the film is, him regretting hating his father for that long, seeing him there dying, of course, has this illness and dying, and he regrets this, I guess, seeing his father there, and the fact that what could have been, I guess, if he had just perhaps reconciled and kind of confronted his emotions, his trauma, his anger, and dealt with it differently. We kind of get that feeling of regret, and this kind of feeling of loneliness as well throughout all these different characters. But we see that scene, in the final act of the film, the last hour, and a scene like this kind of it leads on, this film between the different acts. We get the gradual kind of releasing all these different characters releasing their emotions, their pain, and then in that final act, after two key moments, I feel, of course, the wise up sequence, the kind of musical moment in the film, which is just, for me, it's one of the kind of the most special sequences, in cinema history. It's containing, so many, emotions, in a general sense of humanity, and I guess this connection, relating all these different characters together, through this kind of musical sequence, and it kind of is this sense of fantastical, feeling, or a fable-like film playing out. One such example, this as well, this kind of musical moment. It's not a film that kind of opens up in a way that it kind of ends, let's just say that. But yes, this musical sequence is a moment where the characters realise, and they are all connected, and it's kind of this moment that is just so stunning. But then, of course, the second moment that's kind of kicking these characters, I guess, to really realise, what they must do, to kind of move on, I guess, and to finally be happy in some way, is, of course, the frog sequence, and that is, a very divisive sequence. The first time I saw it, though, I loved it. I just went with this film. That's the thing. It has such a specific and unique flow, and I was just so immersed in this film. In fact, this is just one of the most immersive films that I've ever kind of experienced, and I found that the first time around, I just thought, for me, I know this is not a popular kind of sequence, perhaps, some people don't take to it, but I loved it. I loved how, insane it was as well, in the placement of the film, really, but in that sense, it made sense as well. It just worked for me, and these frogs, of course, falling from the sky, and that has happened before. It's not, kind of, an occurrence that has never happened, in the world, but this kind of leads to the fact that, is it chance or coincidence? Is it for a reason? Different events, are happening. It kind of leans towards that. The sense that things are happening, something is happening outside of our control, and one that is for a reason, perhaps. And what this sequence does, in the context of the film, is it really makes these characters realise what they must do, and it kind of, from there, it's kind of the last few scenes of the film, and we have characters, kind of forgiving, characters, kind of really facing their demons and moving on from them, I guess, and in order to kind of to keep going, to keep on living, but to live a life that is even happier, to even more potential. The characters are finally dealing with their past kind of trauma, pain, and they are moving on. And then, in the end, we have that sequence there where Claudia Gator, played of course once again by Melora Waters, who is also in Boogie Nights, and Hard Eight as well. She wonderful in this film. In fact, Claudia is one of my favourite characters. But yes, we have that sequence there, the final scene, where of course we have that one shot as well. But yes, we have that moment there when Jim, is just sitting. He's standing at first. And we don't fully hear, all of the dialogue there. It is kind of harder to hear, and that is it's done for a reason. But we hear different kind of segments of that conversation, or that kind of monologue there, and I guess Jim is giving this this kind of this monologue here, and we're kind of listening to it. We can't hear all of it, but we're hearing different segments of it. I guess the moments that really matter. It's this moment where Claudia looks to the camera and she smiles finally. It's just that moment. I think the ending of this film of Magnolia is one of the absolute best in cinema history, and it's kind of a Chaplin-esque moment, you could say. I'm not going to give spoilers for Chaplin films, but it's this kind of silent cinema, I guess, kind of feeling of this moment here, and just seeing that, it brought me to tears. It really did. Tears of joy, though. Just to see this film, all the pain, the agony, the kind of the themes of depression, anxiety, the chaotic feeling, the violence in the film, and just how kind of epic this film is. For all of that, it ends on this pure, simple, kind of emotion here. The shot, and just truly uplifting to see this, and it's earned so perfectly. Paul Thomas Anderson, with this film, he put every single thing into this. I feel, and of course, he wanted to kind of originally make small and cheap, kind of a small and cheap film, and it didn't kind of turn out like that, I guess. But it really, what this film is, it's this kind of epic mosaic of these different characters, containing pretty much every single stage of life within this very short time span, and this one location really, the San Fernando Valley, and through that, through this 3 hour plus film, it's just so much to kind of to take from this film, but in the end, it's that pure kind of comforting feeling I get from this, and it just brings me to tears. It really does. Seeing her smile in that way, and of course, implying that they will be together. It's just truly, truly beautiful, and this film here, I think the romance to this film, of course, Claudia and Jim, of course, John C. Reilly in this film. Wow, John C. Reilly is one of my favourite actors. Personally, I don't think he gets enough kind of appreciation. He's plays one of my favourite characters. In Boogie Nights, and once again in this film, there's no exception. He is so great in this film. I think possibly my favourite character. Obviously this cop, and at first we see the kind of opening scenes in the film. He is narrating. You could say he's introduced as our kind of main character. If there is one, there are 9 main characters. But I guess Jim, if you had to pick one, he is possibly the central character. In the film, it kind of opens with him leading the film, and kind of ending with him, at least kind of in that final scene. And I guess he could be the kind of number one character in this film, and he is the one who is kind of as well questioning himself, and the morality of his job, of course, as well. Seeing scenes early on, where Jim is not treated, really with respect, and the kind of yes, the dignity that he deserves by his superiors. They kind of ignore him, and he's someone who is constantly, we see, questioning his faith. We know that throughout the film, and the kind of feeling of judgment, really plays a hand in this character. And in the end, it's lovely to see, though, how he doesn't make a judgment on Claudia. He just sees her as a good, beautiful person, and that's what he says to her in the end. And he wants to be with her, and just that feeling of why let other feelings get in the way of just perhaps potentially pure relationship. And that's a really beautiful kind of way to end this film, to this narrative, for all this kind of biblical kind of feeling, the frogs and all this kind of feeling that shrouds the film, and all these sequences, this 3-hour film, it ends in such a kind of pure way, and I get so many emotions from this. But at its core, this film here, is about forgiveness and dealing with the past in order to kind of move on and to be happy again, I guess. And that's a very perhaps simple way, basic way of putting it. But I guess that is the point. It's a complex film. It's a fairly lengthy film. Perhaps some would not understand, the entire film, I guess. But it ends in a way. At its core, it really is quite simple. I think Paul Thomas Anderson is not someone who, kind of, I feel, makes films that kind of ambiguous in a way. For on purpose. I feel he really is just trying to convey emotions, trying to relate to the audience, in a human way. And I feel it's great to see this once again ending on such a kind of simple image and feeling, and it's got ambiguous moments in the film, I guess, the frogs, but it's kind of about this. He did say the idea was to write and write and write, and then when he's kind of written out, end it with this sequence, of the frogs, and from there we go and we kind of wrap the film up. I guess in that sense, the frogs, are not meant to be kind of taken literally, at least just through my experience. It's just this sequence, this event, that kickstarts and finalizes in the same kind of way. The realization and the kind of the characters finally facing their past, dealing with it, and just as well a realization through relationships. And once again, Paul Thomas Anderson, Anderson is dealing with human interactions, throughout this film, and of course we have external influences on, on these different characters, and all this kind of stuff, and of course, the kind of the quiz show that happens that goes throughout the film. That's one such kind of thing that distorts the characters, kind of expressions, I guess. They can't express themselves in particular ways, and this whole kind of feeling of expectations, parent relationships with their children, and the expectations they have, and how they treat their kids, how that can lead to, perhaps things later on in life. And it's a really such a powerful film, so relatable, this, and it truly is a film that brings me to tears on many occasions. This, and just to see these characters, kind of introduced, in a comedic way as well. We have many kind of comedic sequences at first, and just. I guess once again, Philip Seymour Hoffman, once again, tribute to him, one of the greatest actors of all time for me. He's in this film, as Phil, and he kind of brings, quite a bit of, comedy to the film as well. How can we not mention, Julianne Moore in this film as Linda, and yes, just all these different characters. Once again, Claudia, Jimmy Gator, of course. Jeremy Blackman playing Stanley, and of course Donnie Smith, played by William H. Macy. All these different characters, they all kind of experience this pain, and they're kind of different ages as well. And it's nice to see, because we have this variety of characters, but there's similarities between them all. And I think Anderson really picked the perfect kind of way to express all these different themes, many themes throughout the film. Loneliness, isolation, of course, and trauma, pain, I guess anxiety and depression. But it all kind of stems from how the early stages of our lives can affect this, and can have a ripple effect, on family units and all this kind of stuff. And just to see, to learn, of course, fairly early on, we get the kind of, we don't really need too much more to kind of confirm it, but of course, Claudia says that Jimmy did, kind of abuse her, in that sense when she was younger, and it doesn't really take the confirmation later on in the film to make us realise that this probably did happen, and in that sense, she is once again a traumatised character, through this. Through this trauma, for this pain, she takes drugs, and she kind of shuts herself off, from society. In that sense, she doesn't know how to deal with this, and of course, it takes Jim as well to kind of bring out this feeling of confronting this, but also just Jim accepting Claudia for who she is. At her core, a beautiful person, someone who is a nice person, someone who is, of course, experiencing pain, a very complex individual, but someone who just needs to be told that she is a nice person, a beautiful person, and that is one of the core themes in this film, finding comfort, I guess, and just moving on and being happy through dealing with confronting pain, I guess, and this theme of pain really is the central kind of theme, I think, along with dealing with the past not being through with us, and I think all these different kind of events that happen in the film, the frogs, of course, and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of it kickstarts, it kind of leads, it contributes to these characters realizing, but really it is just the connection, of humanity, and all these different themes. There is this feeling that it's all complete, all is one, and different characters, different circumstances, different ages. Backgrounds as well, and occupations, but they're all kind of experiencing pain and this regret as well, but then moving on from this, and I guess then being happy in the end, and what a wonderful film this is. What a narrative, and how Anderson is kind of shooting this film, the editing as well. The editing is just stunning to behold. This is very, very intricate, of course, and there's so much pieces in this film to kind of put together, and to really, for it to all to kind of flow, in this way, and all these kind of loose moments as well. But it's so precise at the same time. There's all this kind of chaotic, feeling, in the first act perhaps, and later on in the film, though, the second act, the middle of the film, really, is when we really get the kind of picking apart of these characters, all the different emotions being kind of shown to us, and what are these characters really feeling, and what are they about, and then of course later on we get these characters confronting their past, and all these different issues they're having, and really kind of dealing with this, and how wonderful is that, and just the way in which Anderson kind of slows the film down at some point, and really kind of digs deep, into these characters, and there is a sense of wonder at first, this kind of overwhelming feeling, this kind of magic, I feel, once again. This and Boogie Nights, they are so magical to behold. Very, very different, but they have this kind of, I guess, fable-like, kind of fairy tale feeling, even though they're very dark and kind of realistic, I guess. There is this feeling of, a fantastical, kind of outlook, and this kind of feeds into the characters as well, and how they act, but then the real kind of gritty, raw emotions develop, and then in the end, the characters really kind of I guess let loose their emotions, and really kind of, for example, Tom Cruise's character Frank Mackie, he really releases his anger, he vents in that sequence, which is just overwhelming to see. For the record, Tom Cruise, for me, he is a master actor, and I think this, is a contender for his greatest performance, actually, I think, and of course, once again, within this year, we had Eyes Wide Shut. These two films here are my absolute favourite, personal Tom Cruise films, and Magnolia is really one of the greatest, kind of ensemble pieces, in cinema. Just like Boogie Nights, once again, Anderson kind of all these different characters, all these performances, the balance here, you know, striking, and just so sincere, so human, and so honest. This film, what a bold individual making this film, just to go ahead and make a film this big, this grand, with such a scope, you know, which some audiences, of course, perhaps would just not kind of go with in that sense. You know, sometimes there are expectations for films, and what one would expect, I guess, you know, the general audience would expect from a film, from a narrative, and how a film, you know, has to have a plot, you know, and this film does, but it's more about character being plot once again, and how we're introduced to these 9 main characters and other different characters surrounding them, of course, all relating to the different characters, but you know, we have mainly breaking down different character studies, but all kind of as one, and different themes that you could say are, you know, general, but also specific, but you know, done in a way that is not, you know, kind of traditional in some regards, but in a sense that at the same time, just like Boogie Nights, it's not traditional, but it is as well, and it's this kind of feeling of pure cinema, I guess, and just different moments visually that Anderson, you know, is kind of constructing and conveying, I guess, to us viewers, that is just so, you know, so pure and so direct, that I am just, you know, at times pierced by these emotions, you know, as a viewer, and just I'm so transfixed by this film. It has this kind of spiritual feeling throughout. You know, to open the film with a very, you know, kind of, you know, kind of, you could say talky moment, you know, just kind of objective moment perhaps, but you know, offering up, you know, kind of a consideration. Is it chance? You know, different events in life, and that kind of, you know, runs at the back of the mind, but you know, kind of forgetting that and just letting the film, you know, absorb me, and to get, you know, so investing in the narrative, and for, you know, in the end, to make it my own mind, and it's a bit of both, I guess. But you know, really, I know what I feel about the film and how I interpret the film, and of course, anyone watching the film would feel their own way. You know, it's all up to the viewer, I guess. And you know, Anderson, he gives so much in this film, but he doesn't, you know, kind of preach to us. He doesn't say this is this, and he doesn't, you know, kind of judge either. He doesn't judge these characters. You know, these characters are complex. Some of them have done different things in the film, you know, as we know, of course. But you know, even then, Anderson does not kind of offer a kind of a film with a direct message in that way. He doesn't give, you know, kind of a statement film, and he's just simply not judging these characters, you know, and just letting us decide, you know, all the kind of different emotions and feelings for these characters, and as a whole as well, and to relate our own lives to these characters, as I say, a variety of characters. So I guess, you know, we can all kind of relate to different stages, all within this kind of 3-hour film, and you know, it's a very specific film at times, you know, in its location and all this kind of stuff, but you know, very general in that sense as well, and it's loose, but it's just as well masterfully constructed, so direct, so precise, you know, the emotions, I guess, and just, or at least the guiding of potential emotions. That's the thing. Anderson, you know, is creating this space. He's creating this universe, this world building that happens throughout the film, and he is simply creating, you know, a place for us to kind of feel whatever we like, you know, within this narrative, and but he's creating this, he's constructing this, and you know, kind of he's in such kind of control with this film, you know, in his direction, in the tone of the film, and just the actual visual look of the film, the style, I guess, but he's really allowing us as well to take our own things from it. And it's not a film that is, you know, kind of, as I say, preachy, or, you know, in any way judgmental. It's simply sincere, honest, pure, and just, you know, allowing us to kind of get immersed, and to feel what we want at the end. For me, you know, in the end, you know, I got, you know, the kind of the sense of, you know, to kind of love oneself as well. You know, it's sometimes, it takes other characters to tell you different things, so you can be happy. For example, with Claudia, Jim, that is a beautiful romance. In fact, it's my favourite, Paul Thomas Anderson romance, and that says a lot, considering how much I love Punch Drunk Love. But I'll say it now, that is the best for me romance, in an Anderson film. That's it. And I think to see though Jim telling Claudia, that she's a beautiful person, just to hear that, for her to kind of hear that, that's the kind of final moment where she wants to, she shows to us as an audience that she wants to live. She wants to carry on living. When she finally wants to live, really wants to, and that is such a powerful moment. This film is very, very dark at times, but it ends on such an uplifting moment for me. That's what I got from it, and that's kind of the best, the best thing I can get from this film, from a film like this, to go through all this kind of, dark subject matter, all these different emotions, anger, frustration, anxiety, very intense experience, but to end it in this way, this kind of enlightening feeling, in the end, feeling, with this film, I feel, kind of that I've gone through so much, this journey, spiritual journey, and physical as well as kind of mental, and that is, something for a film to kind of be so intense at times and so investing that it's kind of a physical experience. It's just, it really is something to behold, and I think Anderson wrote and directed this film perfectly. This is just truly, to me, a perfect film, and an absolute, it's god tier film. This, filmmaking, and I think Anderson, for me, as I say, one of the 10 best filmmakers of all time, and this film here, Magnolia, is just one of his absolute crowning achievements. But I feel, the kind of one of the main contributing factors, at least, to the greatness of this film, is the soundtrack, and that includes, of course, the original score by John Brion, working as well, obviously, on many different Anderson films, but as well as the songs that are used in this film, especially, of course, Amy Mann, One being a standout, driving sideways at one point, playing, in the background, in the film, but obviously Wise Up, for me, one of the absolute best kind of moments in the film, and in any film, actually, but this musical kind of moment with the characters actually singing, this song here, all, kind of singing this, and the kind of editing, cutting to these different characters, singing this song throughout this sequence, it's just, it really is one of the most mesmerising kind of moments in cinema for me, but obviously as well, Save Me, and to see that play out, the final moments of the film, it just brings me to tears, so beautiful, of course, and just the perfect moment to kind of cut to black, and see the credits, and to see written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, just clapping, but I can't, I can't clap because I'm just, in such a state of, wow, just shock. This film is just, is this level of, just cinematic mastery. I'm in awe of this film. But the soundtrack, the kind of John Brion score, as well. I've got a surprise for you today. That piece, of course, that track, Jimmy's breakdown. Frank and Linda's breakdown, and So Now Then, all these different pieces, A Chance of Rain, I listen to this, this score, quite often actually, and just to kind of get the emotions again for, from this film, and just to kind of experience, this state of, to watch this film, I'm just inspired so much, this awe-inspiring feeling, it's epic, this score, but it's also very, very intimate, and just this feeling of, a personal feeling, I guess, and it is an epic that is truly personal, and that's my favourite kinds of epics, whether it be The Godfather 1 and 2, Lawrence of Arabia, etc. All these different films, epics like this, where they really, are constantly focusing on characters, massive films, but staying in tune, with humanity, and different emotions, just to convey emotions, through different characters, their perspectives. In this film, though, we have the kind of the personas to deal with as well of these characters, and that's so fascinating, so compelling. You know, it makes the film more complex though as well. And just, for example, to see you know, the kind of persona of, you know, Frank Mackie, but then of course for him to break down and to really be pressed, of course, in that interview, and that's it. You know, that's one of the kind of, for the record, one of the best moments in the film is that kind of that piece there where we see the change, I guess, you know, on Tom Cruise's face there, and him breaking down, you know, this character Frank breaking down, and just he didn't know how to react to that, and from then, you know, he's struggling again. He's releasing his emotions gradually, and in the final act of the film, you know, it's this overwhelming, you know, kind of release of emotions that, you know, leads to one of the core themes of the film, and that's, you know, exactly that, you know, kind of dealing with the past, and you know, actually confronting this, and just in order to kind of move on and to be happy again. And I feel as well accepting oneself, and you know, that's a big thing in the film. But you know, I find you know, that is through the, you know, the internal realizations, but it's also because of other characters. You know, it's human interactions, this film, and it's how other characters or people can bring out, you know, in each other, you know, different feelings, and can help each other realize, you know, just in a general sense, because all of these characters, as I say, they all experience, you know, trauma in some way, and it's all kind of related to perhaps past events, but you know, it is also specific, and you know, it's very different, you know, how characters are interacting in the film, the different, you know, main threads, for example, you know, and how we have, you know, quite a few small groups of characters really interacting in the film a lot of the time. You know, for example, Phil, you know, Linda and Earl. You know, it's a main kind of core, you know, group in the film, and you know, we have obviously as well Frank Mackie coming into that as well. But you know, we have characters kind of separated, you know, in the film. You know, some characters not actually interacting with one another. You know, the main 9 characters, but in some way it ties it all together, you know, over the course of this, mainly this one kind of day, you know, the night and into the morning as well. But you know, we have this connection, even though these characters, you know, are separated in a way, they are connected, and I feel it sums up life. You know, it's a really wonderful bringing together, you know, culmination of emotions, you know, human interactions and feelings, and we have, you know, specifics, you know, kind of, you know, or kind of consequences of trauma and pain, you know, being depression, anxiety, you know, or, you know, putting on a persona, and, you know, perhaps as well using drugs, all these different things that can happen through pain, you know, at its core, and, you know, not perhaps dealing with things in a particular way, but again, non-judgmental in the way it's done, and not judging these characters, but you know, just in a beautiful way, kind of allowing and showing these characters, you know, kind of dealing with things, and then from there, you know, in the end, different characters being happy, and you know, it's a beautiful film, this, and of course, you know, I didn't know anything about this film before watching it, really. You know, I just knew it was very divisive, you know, at times not too popular, other times, you know, loved, overwhelming kind of support for this film, you know, in places, and, you know, I didn't know what to expect though. But I had this kind of feeling at the back of my mind, I could very well, very easily love this film, and it could be one of my favourite, you know, kind of Paul Thomas Anderson films, and it certainly is, you know, that's for sure. I'm not going to say where it is on my ranking, but once again, just like Boogie Nights, this for me is one of the absolute greatest, one of the absolute most mind-blowing films ever made, and you know, it's just, you know, Paul Thomas Anderson made Hard Eight, you know, he made Boogie Nights, he made Magnolia, all before the age of 30, and you know, again, you know, some directors, they start later, and you know, it's not to kind of say, you know, it's better to kind of, you know, what age, you know, you kind of start making masterpieces at, you know, I guess it's not that, it's just a kind of, there is a sense of you looking up to and just being in awe of this individual, Paul Thomas Anderson, but you know, I guess, you know, he kind of, as well, he had such a great team with him, his friends as well, you know, he loves his characters, he said before, he loves his characters, he kind of writes parts for his friends in that sense, and that kind of shows. It shows this kind of community feeling with the kind of the team, the cast and crew of these films, and I think once again seeing many different actors from Boogie Nights, in this film is a real treat. But of course, characters, actors playing characters that are very very different, kind of in tone and kind of character traits to Boogie Nights are very, very different. For example, Julianne Moore, in this film, though, she gives one of the greatest performances, in cinema history for me. Absolutely, she is so good in this film. But how different is that, performance in this to Boogie Nights? I mean, it's just completely different, really, for the most part. And it's just really something to behold. Seeing as well John C. Reilly, in Boogie Nights is this kind of upbeat, jolly character, very humorous in this film. He is always lovable, in his films, but it's a very different character that he plays. And, I think, as well for the record, the best Philip Baker Hall performance actually this film here and just seeing all these different characters, Jason Robards as well, wow, in this film, it's just, it really is it's devastating, this kind of this character, what is happening to this character, and his what is happening once again when Frank Mackie is coming into the picture, meeting his father there, and just this scene here, it's very very tragic, this film. But I think Jason Robards, for the record, gives such a stunning performance, and all these different actors, Jeremy Blackman, such a great performance, of course. Just as I say, John C. Reilly, one of his absolute greatest performances. So emotional, this performance, and so kind of sincere and honest. Once again, but so human. This film will kind of we'll start to wrap up now, but all these different threads running throughout this film, kind of all these different themes packed into this massive epic, this kind of sprawling mosaic that acts once again like music in its kind of form, as opposed to literature, but at the same time the script is one of the best for me personally, and it's so kind of interesting to kind of ponder the meaning of different moments as well in the script, and the kind of spiritual feeling, but it's all these different things, these interactions, but Anderson brings it together. It's such a genius way, that's in capitals there, genius. This film is so stunning, it's so genius, but more importantly it's so sincere and welcoming to me, and to of course, it seems many people, some would not take to the film, and that's fine. It's a film that, like any film, people can react differently to, and but for me personally, this film, it's just, it's so welcoming, it's so accepting as well, of the different characters, and how Claudia is not judged at all, for taking, for example, drugs, and she is treated with, she has this dignity, the character is treated with dignity and just respect, and it's really such a human film. This, for me, Magnolia is one of his as I say, crowning achievements, and I could talk for more about this film, but what this film means to me, it's so much, and I think there's so much going on here, as we say, but to conclude, it's about parent-child relationships, I feel, and how the past, we can't run from it, in that sense, and in some way it will, perhaps, potentially, kind of create, issues, feelings, I guess, but it's about how to deal with them feelings, and for example, there are reactions that the body has, for example, anxiety, depression, of course, and different characters experience this, and they react in different ways. For example, Claudia takes drugs, and she kind of hates herself in that way, in that sense, and she kind of puts on this, she kind of separates herself from society, as we know, but there are these reactions that we can kind of experience, and without, of course, wanting to, and it's it's this kind of tragic aspects of life, but in the end, we have this kind of very, very positive, one of the most positive, I feel, endings in all of cinema, and we have this uplifting, overwhelming, just, feeling. It's just so wonderful to see, and we have this final shot, of course, and just the kind of words from John C. Reilly, playing Jim. His words. You see, it's just. It really is such a special ending, the way to wrap this film up. But we have the kind of aftermath, of the frogs, and then we have that final moment with Jim and Claudia, and that is the central kind of kind of relationship in the film. That is, is this positive one, and a way in which accepting oneself and kind of moving on, and kind of dealing with the past in a particular way, how this is then leading to a hopeful kind of way forward, light at the end of the tunnel, and that's the main kind of summary of the journey. But it's more than that. There's so many different emotions, themes, and this massive, complex, undescribable, really, kind of spiritual experience. And I can't say it all in this review because it would be here all day or all night. Now I think actually it's now past 12 potentially, so I've gone into the next day. But yes, we'd be here for a while, and I guess it's nice as well to leave it up to you to kind of just even to kind of to leave some things unsaid, because it's all personal experiences and how we can kind of react to the film, and that's great. That's one of the great things about cinema, and it's especially about the way that Paul Thomas Anderson makes his films. They're all kind of open to kind of interpretation in that sense, not necessarily with metaphors and all this kind of stuff, but just specific feelings for moments, sequences, characters, storylines, in his films. And I guess this is one complete story, though. What's really fascinating about this, the characters are different. They are different in many ways, but they're also the same, and that it really sums up life as well in some regards. At times, there may be differences, but there are similarities, and it's a wonderful balance. This film kind of has, in that, and we have dark moments. We have kind of releasing anger, frustration, regret. Just in a general sense, trauma, pain. But we have as well so many different life-affirming moments throughout this film, and just so uplifting to me, and it really is one of my absolute favourites, and such a special film to me personally. So my final thoughts, my final rating for Magnolia, you may have guessed it, but for me, Magnolia is a magnum opus, and yes, 100% plus, tier S, my absolute highest rating. What can I say? Of course, it's a tier S, and just this is an overwhelming experience. This film, a spiritual experience, and so many, kind of life-affirming moments. It's such a positive film, as well as being very, very dark and daring to go to different places. Of how intense this is. For example, the anger, that kind of Frank Mackie gives off in that. That massive scene, very famous sequence later on in the film. Just seeing this film, it's very, very powerful, very dark at times, very, very intense, but nothing but welcoming and kind of sincere and accepting, and just allowing us to kind of feel for ourselves the emotions, and just I'm so immersed in this film. Just seeing it for a second time, it's just confirmed how much I love this film, and there are moments that I kind of slightly forgot as well, and it was just once again, wow, blew me away. And I think just I love seeing these characters all compelling, just as compelling really as each other, and just seeing, of course, the variety of characters in this film, and of course the performances. Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course. Once again, what an actor, one of my absolute favourites. John C. Reilly, once again as well, one of my favourites. And these actors are giving some of their absolute greatest performances. Philip Baker Hall, of course, Melora Waters. She is wonderful in this film. You know, such a great character, one of my favourites in the film actually. And you know, Jim though, I think Jim is the kind of one that is perhaps the central character. You know, John C. Reilly's Jim, and you know, here's someone who starts off by saying, you know, this is a hard job, you know, kind of thing, his job, and you know, there may be, I think he says 20 bad calls, you know, a day, but there could be that one that, you know, he kind of takes something from, and I guess, you know, he says, you know, that he wants to help people, and in the end, you know, he does, you know, he does allow, you know, Claudia to kind of move on and to truly, you know, awaken in that sense, and you know, that final line you see, you know, and she smiles. You know, it's one of the greatest, most beautiful moments in a film, and you know, it just kind of brings it full circle, ending with this kind of character and his kind of outlook, I guess. But you know, all these different characters struggle throughout the film. You know, they're all complex, they're all human in the way they're portrayed, but they are, you know, characters who, you know, are so they have these similarities. They're all kind of the same in the sense of what they're experiencing in a general sense. There are specifics, there are different reasons, there are different, you know, kind of you know, themes going on within their lives that may differ at times perhaps from one another, but the same central kind of feeling of you know, dealing with the past, trying to escape it or hide from it, but you know, really having to realize in the end that it's just, it is having to full on confront the past in a particular way in order to move on, and but in the end they're going one step further to say not just going back to being happy, but being even more perhaps you know, kind of fulfilled with life, and things can get better. What a positive film this is. That's what I got from it. What do you think? This would be great to know, and for you to talk about this film with me in the comments would be a pleasure. Of course, if you've seen this film, I look forward to hearing your thoughts massively, and that's it for now. As I say, it takes a lot out of me, you know, to do, you know, these reviews. I guess, you know, for films like this, just finding the time. You know, always busy at the moment, unfortunately, and also finding the mood, and just, you know, to sit down and to talk about a film like this that means so much to me, and it's so kind of heavy and you know, intense, and you know, to talk about, I guess, and just, you know, it's been a while, but you know, that's just the way I've done this, and Boogie Nights as well. That won't happen for this film here, Punch Drunk Love. Next up in Anderson's filmography, and of course, and this is kind of a unique one in his filmography. Kind of sits in the middle of his two phases, I guess. You know, the kind of first few films, and you know, There Will Be Blood onwards, I guess. And I haven't seen Phantom Thread yet. I've been waiting to kind of go on this rewatch to get to that. But you know, I feel Punch Drunk Love, you know, is kind of this split, you know, in between. It's the one in the middle, kind of leading into perhaps and hinting at, you know, where he would go, but also maintaining, you know, kind of feeling and style, perhaps of his, you know, previous works. And you know, it's a really unique film, and you know, I absolutely love, you know, Punch Drunk Love. I'll say it now. So if you want a kind of positive, supportive review of that film, you know, just. Yeah, I'll see you there, you know, kind of thing. I love that film and cannot wait to watch that. That won't happen yet, but I'll be watching that, you know, I guess in a week or so, and it won't be I'm saying it won't be as long a wait between when I rewatch, you know, this film here, Punch Drunk Love, then, you know, between that and when I actually review the film, it won't be as long as you know, it has been with these past films. It just takes a lot out of me. For example, to talk about Magnolia and Boogie Nights, but Punch Drunk Love, you know, it's very a bit more easier to kind of you know, sit down and, you know, just discuss it. And that's just me. You know, it's just very it's just, I guess I can't really you know, describe why, but it's just, you know, it is, I guess, the level of you know, kind of the feelings of, you know, Magnolia and Boogie Nights. They're big films like this, and Punch Drunk Love, you know, is very short. It's very you know, you could say it's very simple at times. Just, I think, you know, more of an easy one to kind of sit down and just talk about. But yes, I look forward to that, and There Will Be Blood. I plan to rewatch that probably around the New Year time, actually, and you know, so January probably for a review for that. And yes, look forward to hearing your thoughts on all of these films, and you know, The Master, and you know, cannot wait to discuss these films. But yes, for now that's it. And yes, I look forward to hearing your thoughts on Magnolia, and of course, different reviews I'm going to be getting up as well before the end of the year, and including of course Skyfall, hopefully Holy Grail. I'll have to make that happen, of course, and also my Christmas list, and different films as well that I'm going to be watching and rewatching before the end of the year. So yes, I look forward to that, and yes, that's my thoughts on Magnolia, a magnum opus, and one of the absolute finest achievements in all of cinema, and a truly human, special, just spiritual experience with humour, with uplifting moments. But it's so, it's awe-inspiring, this film, and that's my thoughts. It really is one of my absolute favourite films. I'm not going to say where, but it's very, very high, extremely high in my top 100. That's very obvious. It's Boogie Nights, Magnolia. Wow, 1-2 punch there. By Anderson. It really is. It's unbelievable. This guy, and what he did, and what he's continued to do. He's one of the most inspirational people to me. One of my absolute heroes, and I guess it's just great to see all the support online for this guy, and just to see to hear your thoughts. It's always great, and I look forward to it. So yes, if you want, we can discuss this film, and of course Anderson's work. Eventually the ranking will come, but yes, for now that's my thoughts on Magnolia, and what do you think? It'd be great to hear. As always, take care, and thanks for watching.